Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who makes a lot of money but still feels poor? Maybe you've even felt that way yourself. More income, but still no peace. More earnings, but the stress never leaves. That's because there's a difference between making money and building wealth. One is about adding zeros to your paycheck. The other is about adding wisdom, discipline, and control to your life. See, some people master the art of income, but they never master the art of keeping it. They know how to hustle, but they don't know how to hold. They know how to earn, but they don't know how to grow. And as a result, they find themselves on a treadmill, running faster, working harder, but staying stuck in the same financial anxiety. Real wealth isn't just about having more cash in the bank. It's about becoming the kind of person who knows what to do with it. It's about developing the habits, the mindset, and the discipline that says, I don't just want to get rich, I want to stay rich. Money is a magnifier. It makes you more of what you already are. If you're disciplined, more money gives you freedom. If you're careless, more money gives you chaos. And that's why so many people lose fortunes. They change their income, but never change their identity. If you don't change who you are, you'll eventually lose what you earn. But if you grow into someone stronger, wiser, and more disciplined, the money will not only come, it will stay. So today, let's talk about how to be rich. Not just in dollars, but in mindset, in discipline, and in life. Because once you become more, you'll attract more. And that's how success starts to find you. Not just once, but over and over again. Most people say they want to be rich, but if you press them for details, they come up empty. They say things like, I just want more money, or I want to be comfortable. But wealth doesn't respond to vague wishes. It responds to precise plans. One of the first lessons I learned early in life is that clarity is the starting point of all success. If you don't know what you're aiming for, you're like a ship without a rudder moving, maybe, but drifting wherever the winds blow. And drifting rarely leads to wealth. So the first order of business is to sit down and decide exactly what rich means to you. Not to your neighbor, not to your coworker, and not to society at large. This isn't about copying someone else's version of success. This is about designing your own. What does a rich life look like for you? Is it having $10 million in investments? Is it earning $20,000 a month passively? Is it working 3 days a week, traveling the world, and still seeing your bank account grow? Maybe it's none of that. Maybe it's as simple as having complete time freedom, living debt-free, and supporting causes you believe in. But here's the key. You must write it down. Thinking about it isn't enough. Get it out of your head and onto paper. When I started doing well, I learned to write down my goals in specific terms. I'd write things like, I will earn $100,000 this year from speaking. Or, I will invest $50, 0 in assets that produce income whether I work or not. That kind of clarity does something powerful. It programs the mind. It gives you a roadmap. Without that, you might still work hard, but you won't know if you're on track. You'll chase distractions, get busy being busy, but at the end of the year, you'll wonder why you didn't make progress. That's because you never defined the destination. Now, this doesn't mean your definition of rich is permanent. It can grow and evolve as you do. But you have to start with something specific. Write down your ideal income. Write down the net worth you're aiming for. Write down how much time freedom you want. How many hours a week do you want to work? Where do you want to live? What do you want your investments to produce each month? Put it all on paper. You can adjust the numbers later, but you can't adjust what you haven't started. This simple act of clarity, writing down exactly what rich means to you, starts to separate you from the crowd. Because most people won't do it, but you will. And that's how you begin to take control of your future. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned about wealth is that it's not accidental, it's intentional. People don't just stumble into financial freedom the way you might stumble into a puddle on the sidewalk. No, wealth is built step by step, decision by decision, and year by year. And one of the simplest but most powerful tools you can use to guide those steps is to set a clear 5-year financial goal. Now, why 5 years? Because 5 years is long enough to accomplish something remarkable, but short enough that you can feel the urgency of the clock ticking. Most people think about wealth in vague terms. They say things like, someday I'll be rich, or hopefully things will work out. But life doesn't respond to vague. It responds to specific plans. When I was just getting started, someone taught me to take out a notebook and write down exactly where I wanted to be in 5 years. Not just in life, but financially. So I sat down and thought about it. How much net worth did I want to have in 5 years? How much did I want coming in from investments money that worked even when I didn't? How much did I want saved, invested, protected? And here's what happens when you write those goals down. Your mind starts to build a map. You begin to see step by step how you could actually get there. If you want to have $500,000 in net worth in 5 years, you can break that down. That's $100,000 a year. Break it down again. That's about $8,300 a month in new savings, investments, or assets growing in value. Does that sound like a big number? Maybe it does. But the moment you write it down, you give your mind permission to start looking for ways to make it happen. You start asking better questions. What skills could you learn to increase your income? What business could you build? What investments could you make? That's how the game changes. I remember a season in my life when I was drifting financially. I was working hard, but I wasn't tracking progress. I didn't know if I was moving forward or just spinning my wheels. But the day I set a 5-year wealth goal, everything shifted. I started measuring my decisions against that vision. If a business opportunity came up, I'd ask, does this move me closer to my 5-year goal or farther away? If a spending temptation came up, I'd ask, is this part of the plan or part of the distraction? That kind of clarity keeps you from getting sidetracked. So sit down today, grab a pen, and write down your 5-year financial vision. How much net worth do you want? How much passive income do you want coming in monthly? What kind of investments do you want to own? Break it into yearly milestones. Check in every quarter. Success loves clarity, and the clock is already ticking. One of the simplest but most profound wealth lessons is this. Don't save what's left after spending, spend what's left after saving. That one shift can change your entire financial future. But most people do the opposite. They earn their paycheck, they pay their bills, they buy the new gadget, they go out to dinner, and then they look at what's left over at the end of the month, if anything, and think, well, maybe I'll save next month. But next month never comes, because lifestyle always expands to meet income if you're not careful. And before you know it, 10 years have passed and you're still broke. Not because you didn't earn enough, but because you didn't keep enough. I learned early in my career that wealth isn't about big jumps, it's about consistent small disciplines. Saving is one of those disciplines. When I first started, I was broke. I wasn't making much, but I learned to take a percentage off the top of every dollar I earned and set it aside. At first, it was 10%. That was hard because I had bills, responsibilities, and not much left over. But I did it anyway. And something magical happened. When you make saving a non-negotiable, you force your mind to find a way to make the rest work. Your creativity kicks in, you get smarter with your spending, you look for ways to increase your income, but you don't sacrifice the habits you protected. Over time, I moved that 10 to 20%. And the more I saved, the more disciplined I became, not just with money, but with life. Saving first teaches you patience. It teaches you to think long term. It forces you to look past the weekend and start thinking about the decade. And once you get in the habit of saving first, you start to build something powerful, capital. And capital is what buys investments. Capital is what allows you to take advantage of opportunities when they come. I've seen people with great ideas lose out because they had no savings. Opportunities came, but they had no capital to seize them. That's the real cost of poor saving habits. You're not just losing money, you're losing future options. Think of saving like planting seeds. At first it's small. You put a little away each month and it might not seem like much, but give it time. Water it, nurture it, stay consistent, and eventually you'll have a tree that produces fruit year after year. That's how real wealth grows, not from luck, but from discipline. So start where you are. If you can't save 20% yet, start with 10%. If 10% feels like too much, start with 5%. But make the commitment today. Set up an automatic transfer. Treat your savings like a bill that must be paid, because the habit is more important than the amount. Once you master the habit, the wealth will follow. One of the greatest threats to wealth is not bad investments or market crashes, it's lifestyle inflation. It's what happens when every time you make more, you spend more. You get a raise, and instead of saving or investing the difference, you buy a newer car, move into a bigger house, or take fancier vacations. Before you know it, you're making twice as much as you used to, but you're still broke. The bank account is empty, the stress is high, and you're trapped in a cycle of earning just to maintain a lifestyle that owns you. That's why one of the smartest things you can do is cap your lifestyle at 70% of your income. It's a rule that forces discipline. No matter how much you make, you decide right now, 70% is for living, 20% is for investing and saving, and 10% is for giving. It creates balance. It keeps you from falling into the trap of chasing shiny things that don't create lasting value. I remember when I first started making more money, it was tempting to upgrade everything at once. But I learned to resist that temptation. I didn't buy the biggest house I could afford. I didn't drive the most expensive car in the lot. Instead, I kept my lifestyle modest for a while and focused on building assets. Because here's the truth. Luxury today often steals luxury from tomorrow. If you spend everything now, you'll have nothing left for the future. But if you build discipline now, you create the freedom to enjoy real luxury later on your terms. Keeping your living expenses at 70% also forces you to get creative. You learn to live well without waste. You find joy in simplicity. You learn to ask, do I really need this? Rather than just buying because you can. And the 20% you invest starts working for you while you sleep. Over time, that 20% grows into real wealth dividends, rental income, business investments, things that create cash flow instead of draining it. And the 10% you give, that's where life gets really interesting. Giving breaks the grip of greed. It reminds you that money is a tool, not a master. It allows you to contribute to causes that matter. And somehow giving always seems to invite more abundance back into your life. It's one of the strange laws of the universe that can't always be explained but works every time. Now, some people might say, but what if I can't live on 70% right now? That's okay. Start with where you are, but make a plan to get there. Maybe you're at 90% today. Then work to cut unnecessary expenses, increase your income, and adjust slowly. The goal is progress, not perfection. But the sooner you commit to this framework, the sooner you build the foundation for lasting wealth. Because real wealth is not about having more, it's about keeping more, growing more, and living with purpose. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned is this. If you want to compound your money, first compound your mind. Most people understand the power of compound interest when it comes to savings or investments. You put money into a good account, let it sit, and over time it grows not just from the money you put in, but from the interest on top of the interest. It's slow at first, but then something magical happens. It accelerates. That's what builds fortunes. But here's what most people miss the same principle works with. Learning, knowledge compounds, wisdom compounds, skills compound, and the sooner you get started, the bigger the payoff over time. That's why I always recommend a simple daily habit. Read 10 pages of a good book. Not a random book pick books that teach you success, leadership, finance, business, communication. 10 pages might not sound like much, but let me tell you what happens when you do it every day. In 1 year, you've read 3,650 pages. That's about 12 to 15 books a year on personal growth, money management, and wealth strategies. Now, do you think reading 12 good books in a year will change your life? Of course it will. But not just because of the pages, it's because of the ideas that get planted in your mind. New ideas create new behaviors. New behaviors create new results. When I was starting out, I picked up this habit. I read books on sales, business, investments, and philosophy, I listened to cassette tapes back then. Now you can listen to podcasts or audiobooks. But the idea is the same. Keep learning from people who have done it. Don't just study theory. Study success. Learn from mentors, even if you've never met them in person. Their wisdom is in their words and the clues are in their stories. I remember learning one new idea from a book about time management. It wasn't complicated. It was just about blocking my time in chunks and focusing fully on one thing at a time. That one simple shift doubled my productivity. Another time, I picked up a new negotiation strategy that helped me close a business deal I might have lost otherwise. One idea added thousands of dollars to my income because I was willing to listen, learn, and apply. Now here's the key. You don't need to cram. You don't need to stay up all night reading or take giant bites of knowledge at once. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. Just like compound interest, the real magic happens when you do it daily. A little each day over time creates extraordinary change. So ask yourself, are you learning at the same pace you want to earn? If you want your bank account to grow, make sure your mind account is growing faster. Because the more you know, the more you see opportunities others miss. The more skills you have, the more valuable you become. And the more you understand, the less you fear. Because wisdom replaces worry. One of the simplest, yet most powerful habits you can develop on your wealth journey is tracking your net worth. It sounds basic, but let me tell you, most people never do it. They track their expenses here and there, maybe check their bank account when it's payday, but they don't keep an eye on the bigger picture. And if you don't know where you are financially, how can you know where you're going? When I started my own journey toward wealth, I didn't have a lot of money, but I decided early on to treat my finances like a business. And every good business tracks its numbers. They know how much is coming in, how much is going out, and exactly what they're worth at any given time. So I set up a simple ledger. Back then it was pen and paper. Today, you can use an app or a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter what tool you use. What matters is that you do it. Here's the formula. Assets minus liabilities equals net worth. Assets are anything you own that has value, your savings, your investments, your property, your business equity. Liabilities are what you owe. Credit card debt, loans, mortgages, any financial obligation. Subtract one from the other, and there's your net worth. Now, why does this matter so much? Because small improvements over time lead to big gains. If you track your net worth monthly, you'll start to see patterns. You'll notice where you're growing, where you're stuck, and where you're leaking money. And that awareness changes behavior. It forces you to make better decisions because you're no longer guessing, you're measuring. I remember 1 month early in my career when I thought I was doing well financially. I was earning more, and it felt good. But when I sat down and tracked my net worth, I realized I wasn't keeping much of it. I was spending too much on things I didn't need, and I wasn't investing enough for the future. That moment of clarity pushed me to adjust. I cut back on unnecessary expenses. I increased my savings rate. I put more into investments. And month by month, the numbers started to climb. It's like tending a garden. If you check it once a year, you're going to miss the weeds. But if you check it every month, you can pull the weeds early, water what's working, and watch the growth compound over time. The truth is, wealth is not built by accident. It's built by design. And tracking your net worth is part of that design. It gives you a scoreboard for your progress. It shows you if you're moving toward your goals or away from them. And it keeps you honest about the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So make it a monthly ritual. Set a date. Put it on the calendar. Check your numbers. Review your progress and adjust your strategy. Because what gets measured gets improved, and when you improve consistently, wealth becomes inevitable. One of the greatest lessons I've learned on the road to wealth is the power of delayed gratification. It's simple in concept, yet challenging in practice. Every day you're faced with choices. Spend on something that brings immediate pleasure, or save and invest for a future that's far more rewarding. The difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who don't often comes down to this daily decision. When I was starting out, I didn't have much money. I wanted things like everyone else in his clothes. a car, entertainment. But I quickly realized that every dollar I spent impulsively was a dollar not working for me. So I made a habit of saying no to the easy, tempting purchase and yes to the harder, longer-term goal. It wasn't always fun, but it was necessary. Think about it this way. Wealth is the result of many small decisions stacked over time. When you delay gratification, you're choosing to sacrifice a little today to enjoy a lot more tomorrow. That's how money grows, not through sudden windfalls, but through steady, consistent investment and saving. Impulse spending is a thief disguised as happiness. It gives you a quick rush but leaves you poorer in the end. I've seen people chase the latest gadget or trend only to find themselves broke or stressed when the bill comes due. The wealthy don't fall for this trap because they understand that true happiness and freedom come from financial security, not fleeting pleasures. One practical step I took early on was to create a rule for myself. Before any significant purchase, I would wait at least 24 hours. That simple pause gave me time to think clearly, was this a want or a need? Was it aligned with my goals or just an emotional reaction? More often than not, that waiting period helped me avoid unnecessary expenses and kept my money working for me. Delayed gratification also applies beyond spendingits about patience with your investments, your career growth, and your personal development. You don't become wealthy overnight. You plant seeds, water them daily, and wait for them to grow. The rich understand that short-term sacrifice leads to long-term abundance. Remember, every time you say no to instant pleasure, you say yes to future freedom. It's the quiet, disciplined choices that build empires. The ability to wait, to be patient, and to stay committed to your goals is what separates those who accumulate wealth from those who merely wish for it. So embrace the power of delayed gratification. Train yourself to think long-term. Because when you do, you're not just managing money, you're mastering your life. And that's the true secret to lasting wealth. There's a powerful truth about wealth that many overlook. Money flows naturally to those who solve problems. It's not about luck, talent, or connections alone. It's about identifying the challenges that people face and providing solutions that make their lives better. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger your reward will be. In my own journey, I realized early on that if I wanted to increase my income, I had to increase my value. That meant moving beyond just working harder or longer. It meant thinking bigger. What could I do that others weren't doing? How could I make a bigger difference? This mindset shift was crucial. Think about it this way. When you help one person, you earn a small paycheck. When you help hundreds or thousands, your paycheck multiplies accordingly. Wealthy people don't just sell products or services. They create value on a larger scale. They innovate, streamline, and improve systems so that their impact grows exponentially. Take a moment to consider the problems in your own life or industry. What frustrates you? What wastes time or resources? Those pain points are opportunities waiting for solutions. When you focus on solving those bigger problems, you attract more customers, higher fees, and greater respect. Scaling your impact doesn't always mean inventing something new. Sometimes it means improving what's already there or finding a smarter way to serve. For example, I saw that sharing ideas and principles with more people through seminars and books allowed me to multiply my influence and income far beyond what I could have achieved working one-on-one. You can start small by asking yourself, who else could benefit from what I do? How can I reach them? Could I package my knowledge into a course, write a book, or build a team to serve more clients? The key is to shift your thinking from trading hours for dollars to creating systems and solutions that generate income even when you're not working. Remember, the world rewards those who provide value that's scarce and in demand. The more significant and widespread the problem you solve, the more valuable you become and the wealthier you will be. This is the principle that separates the wealthy from the struggling. So, challenge yourself to look beyond your current situation. Don't settle for small problems or small paychecks. Stretch your thinking, innovate, and serve on a bigger scale. When you do, you won't just build wealth, you'll build a legacy. Wealth flows where value grows, and the world always needs more problem solvers. The company you keep has a powerful influence over the direction of your life. If you want to grow rich in both mindset and money, you must surround yourself with people who talk about growth, opportunity, and ideas, not just the latest gossip or entertainment. Your environment shapes your thinking, and your thinking shapes your wealth. Early in my life, I found that the most significant breakthroughs came when I connected with people who inspired me to raise my standards. When I spent time with those who were disciplined, focused, and forward-thinking, I absorbed their habits, perspectives, and language. Conversely, when I lingered around those who dwelled on complaints or distractions, my own mindset began to shrink. Think about it. A conversation about money, success, and growth elevates your mind just as much as a conversation about gossip or trivial drama lowers it. The mind, like a garden, grows whatever seeds it is fed. If you nurture it with ideas and knowledge, it will flourish with wealth and wisdom. If you feed it with negativity and distraction, it will stagnate and starve. Building a circle that talks growth means intentionally seeking out mentors, peers, and friends who are ambitious, learning, and committed to self-improvement. It means choosing to spend more time with people who ask better questions, challenge you, and support your journey toward financial freedom. This is not about abandoning your family or old friends. It's about expanding your circle and creating a supportive network that keeps you accountable to your goals. Remember, the rich don't just learn in isolation, they grow within communities that value progress. They share ideas, exchange insights, and push each other to become better. Their conversations are filled with vision, strategy, and encouragement. If you want to break mental poverty and build real wealth, start by upgrading your environment. Protect your mind like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Cut down on time spent in idle chatter or negative talk. Instead, spend your energy connecting with those who inspire your best thinking. The greatest investment you can make isn't in stocks or real estate, it's in the people who influence your beliefs, habits, and actions. Build a circle that feeds your growth, and watch how your wealth expands naturally as a result. The pathway to riches isn't just about money. It's about who you become, and that begins with the company you keep. Every morning before the world demands your attention, take 5 minutes to close your eyes and see your future as clearly as if it's already happened. Visualize what wealth looks like for you, not just the numbers in your bank account, but the life you live, the freedom you feel, and the legacy you leave behind. Imagine the details. Your home, your daily routines, the people you spend time with, the work you do, and how you feel waking up each day. This daily ritual is more than daydreaming. It's programming your subconscious mind to move in alignment with your goals. The mind is a powerful magnet, moves toward what it sees and believes. When you see success vividly and often, you begin to think, act, and make decisions that bring that vision into reality. I remember when I was starting out, struggling to find my way. I had little money and fewer connections, but I spent quiet moments each day imagining a life of financial freedom. I pictured myself speaking confidently, helping others, and living without worry. Those visions became my fuel on tough days, reminding me why I kept pushing forward. Affirmations work hand in hand with visualization. Speak to yourself with purpose repeat statements like, I am capable of creating wealth. I attract opportunities every day. Or, I am becoming the person who deserves financial freedom. These words might feel strange at first, but over time, they reshape your beliefs and boost your confidence. Many people underestimate how much their internal dialogue affects their outcomes. The stories you tell yourself about money, whether you're worthy or capable, either limit or liberate you. Replace doubt with affirmation, fear with faith. Visualization and affirmation aren't just motivational tools. They're practical strategies that condition your brain for success. They create clarity, sharpen focus, and build resilience. When challenges come, as they always do, you'll have a mental anchor reminding you where you're going and who you're becoming. So every morning, give your mind that 5-minute investment. See your wealthy future as clearly as you can. Say the words that build your belief. Let your imagination pave the road your feet will soon walk. Because what you see with your mind today will become your reality tomorrow. Each week, take time to pause and look honestly at where you stand. Wealth building is not a one-time event or a set-it-and-forget-it plan. It's an ongoing process, a journey that requires regular course correction and refinement. Without weekly reviews, it's easy to drift off course, get distracted by short-term urgencies, or lose sight of your long-term vision. When I began my own path to financial freedom, I quickly learned that discipline wasn't just about showing up every day, it was about reflecting on what was working and what wasn't. Each Sunday evening became my sacred time to sit quietly, review my goals, and honestly assess my progress. I asked myself, did I save the amount I planned? Did I invest wisely? Did I take steps toward new income streams? Did I grow personally and professionally? What obstacles appeared and how did I respond? This weekly ritual helped me stay connected to my vision, no matter how busy life got. It kept my intentions clear and my motivation strong. When something wasn't working, I didn't beat myself up. I adapted and refined my plan. Success is not about perfection. It's about persistence and improvement. Tracking progress also fuels momentum. Every small victory, no matter how modest, is proof you're moving forward. Celebrating those wins strengthens your belief that wealth is achievable. When setbacks arise, as they inevitably will, your review sessions help you learn from mistakes instead of being defeated by them. Adjusting weekly means you remain flexible but focused. Life throws curveballs, maybe unexpected expenses or market changes. Without regular review, those moments can derail your journey. But with a steady habit of checking in, you can make timely decisions, cut costs, seek advice, or shift investments to protect and grow your wealth. I urge you to create a simple system. It could be a journal, a spreadsheet, or an app, whatever works best for you. The key is consistency. Spend 30 minutes each week reviewing your financial numbers, your learning goals, your mindset shifts, and your daily habits. Ask tough questions. Am I living within my means? Am I reinvesting in my growth? Am I moving closer to my vision? Remember, wealth building is a marathon, not a sprint. Weekly reviews keep your feet on the path and your eyes on the prize. You are the architect of your future. Don't let the blueprint gather dust. Build steadily, review often, and adjust wisely. In the rhythm of reflection and action, your wealth will grow stronger and more resilient than ever before. When extra income comes in, the temptation is to reward yourself, to buy a new car, upgrade your gadgets, or enjoy a luxury you've long wanted. But here's the difference between the wealthy and the average. The wealthy reinvest profits. They understand that every dollar earned has the power to work for them long after they've stopped working. I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my journey, I would occasionally treat myself whenever a windfall arrived, thinking I deserved it. But those moments of pleasure were fleeting, and my financial progress was slow. It wasn't until I shifted my mindset and committed to putting profits back into assets that my wealth truly began to grow. Think about your profits as seeds. If you plant them wisely into rental properties, stocks that pay dividends, businesses, or other income-producing assets, they'll multiply over time. The key is to let your money work while you sleep instead of draining it to fuel lifestyle inflation. The wealthy understand this principle intuitively. They don't just work for money, they make money work for them. When a paycheck arrives, they pay themselves first by allocating a portion toward investments before considering discretionary spending. This habit compounds wealth, turning a modest income into lasting financial security. Reinvesting profits also fuels the momentum of growth. As your assets generate returns, you reinvest those returns, creating a cycle of compounding gains. It's the difference between living paycheck to paycheck and building a fortune that supports freedom and opportunity. Remember, wealth is not about how much you make, It's about how much you keep and grow. Upgrading your lifestyle too soon can destroy years of progress. Patience and discipline in reinvesting profits are what build empires, not flashy purchases or quick gratification. This doesn't mean you can never enjoy the fruits of your labor, but the key is balance. Reward yourself responsibly, but never at the expense of your financial future. Always ask, will this purchase bring me closer to my wealth goals or take me further away? When you commit to reinvesting profits, you step into the mindset of a true wealth builder. You prioritize long-term freedom over short-term comfort. Over time, this approach creates a life where money flows in steadily and grows steadily, securing your future and empowering you to give back generously. Invest wisely, reinvest consistently, and watch how your financial landscape transforms. Because the most powerful wealth habit is not just earning money, but multiplying it. Time is the most precious currency we have, more valuable than money, because once it's gone, it never comes back. Many people spend hours each day on distractions, things that neither build their future nor bring them closer to their goals. The wealthy understand this truth deeply. They protect their time as fiercely as they protect their money. Early in my life, I realized that time wasted was opportunity lost. I had no control over the economy or other people's choices, but I could control how I spent each hour. I began treating my calendar like a bank account, investing my minutes carefully into activities that yielded returns, learning, planning, working on projects that mattered, and nurturing relationships that inspired growth. When you protect your time, you build a fortress around your focus. Saying no to distractions isn't always easy. Invitations to gossip, endless social media scrolling, or activities that offer no value can seem harmless, but they add up to lost momentum. The wealthy are deliberate about what they allow into their day. Use your calendar as a tool to prioritize your wealth-building activities. Block out time for reading, financial planning, exercising mental and physical strength, and connecting with mentors or positive influences. These investments in yourself multiply over time, just like money in the bank. Discipline around your time creates space for clarity. When you guard your hours well, you avoid reactive living, jumping from task to task without purpose, and instead design your day with intention. This focus breeds better decisions, less stress, and more productive work. Remember, you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. Treat your day as a finite resource. The moments you invest today are the foundation of your future wealth and freedom. By protecting your time as if it were gold, you sharpen your ability to think clearly, work efficiently, and create value. It's a habit that will separate you from those who drift through life chasing money but never building lasting success. So, guard your hours, protect your focus, and remember that your time is the soil where the seeds of wealth grow. How you spend it determines the harvest you reap. Understanding taxes is one of the most overlooked but critical steps toward building lasting wealth. It's not just about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep after Uncle Sam takes his share. The wealthy don't just work harder, they work smarter, and that includes mastering the tax laws that affect their earnings. Early in my journey, I realized that many people get trapped in a cycle of working endlessly but never seeing true progress because they pay more in taxes than they need to. That's why learning the tax rules isn't optional for those serious about wealth, it's essential. The wealthy take advantage of legal strategies like deductions, credits, and tax-advantaged accounts. They invest in assets that offer tax benefits, real estate, retirement accounts, and certain business structures. These strategies allow them to hold on to more of what they earn and reinvest that money to grow their wealth further. Knowing how to leverage tax laws requires education and sometimes professional guidance, but the payoff is huge. Imagine earning a certain amount but losing 40% to taxes versus losing only 20% because you've applied the right strategies. That difference over years compounds into hundreds of thousands, even millions. One key mindset shift is to view taxes not as a burden, but as a puzzle to be solved. The wealthy ask, how can I structure my income, investments, and business to minimize taxes legally, rather than accepting the first bill that comes their way? I learned from experience that the best time to plan for taxes isn't when you're filing your return, it's every day. Think about the tax implications before you make financial decisions. This foresight saves money and keeps your path to wealth clearer. Ultimately, mastering taxes is about keeping more of what you earn so that your money can work for you. It's a critical part of managing your finances wisely and ensuring that your efforts translate into real growth. Don't let the complexity intimidate you. Start with the basics, read, ask questions, consult experts, and gradually build your knowledge. Remember, the goal is not to evade taxes, but to engage them strategically so they serve your long-term financial freedom. The bottom line is this: wealth is not just about income, it's about what you keep, and taxes are one of the biggest gates you must learn to open wisely. Master this, and you take a giant step toward lasting riches. As we come to the close of this journey together, remember that building wealth is not a matter of luck or chance. It's a discipline, a mindset, and a daily commitment to mastery. The road to riches begins with clarity about what you truly want, backed by consistent actions that honor your vision. Every choice you make, how you spend your time, how you grow your knowledge, how you manage your money, either brings you closer to your goals or moves you further away. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the ideal opportunity. Start now. Define your vision clearly. Develop habits that support your growth. Learn to think like the wealthy, not just about money, but about freedom, responsibility, and impact. Surround yourself with those who challenge you to rise higher, and never stop investing in yourself. Your financial future is a reflection of the decisions you make today. So, take ownership. Commit to tracking your progress, adjusting your plans, and reinvesting your gains wisely. Wealth is within your reach, not just in dollars, but in the freedom and legacy you create. Now is your moment. Step forward with discipline, clarity, and purpose. Build your wealth, master your mindset, and live the rich life you deserve.